And for me, I think globalization is a good thing because I come from Hong Kong, and globalization can make me not so have too much isolation, and so I can easier to live in New Zealand. Yeah.
Globalization to me means like when two or more countries they came together, they start exchanging their goods and services, they start exchanging their own way of doing stuff. So it's pretty much like exchange of their culture. They offer the stuff from their country to the different country, and they have their own ways of doing stuff. Then we go to another country and they have their own ways of, and they combine together. And when they combine together, they start doing stuff like with a whole new purpose and with a whole new style. So I think that's globalization nowadays.
I do believe like globalization is good, but New Zealand is probably already a massive multicultural country. I mean, you've got people from the islands been in there for years. It's just culturally everybody.
Globalization to me is, for an individual, from an individual's point of view, is a door which gives space to a lot of opportunities to try and grow and learn in a new economy. Let's say a person from New Zealand goes to a country like America or even Europe or Asia, he gets a chance to learn something new and grow. He not only takes an experience of New Zealand but also what he learns over there, a new culture, language, business techniques.
Personally, I welcome the influx of cultures into the country, so long as they can keep their cultures and add to our culture. I don't like to think that people are coming here and leaving their culture behind. I think they need to bring their culture because it adds more than it takes away. And it helps in terms of hospitality. It's broadened the scope of things that we can choose in terms of how we consume. Yeah, I think that's a good aspect.
Globalization, like I'm from India, so it helped me from coming here to study. Now I'm working in the company, the Bestia Cafe, to working with like new people, something new like making like learn coffee, how to make coffee here, and as I say, meeting everyday new people from the other country, talking to them. So like it helps me a lot.
Yeah, so globalization is something which is now a wide range of things. It's not, now it's become an expression of common usage nowadays, right? It doesn't address one thing in particular, but it's become a very common usage. And if you put it broadly, integration, it is about integration of economies and societies through cross-country flow of ideas and technologies, goods and services, and capital or people also. So if you look at it, it's a combination of few things which come into effect.
Globalization for me is, well, the academic description of globalization is the widening and the deepening and the stretching of boundaries and the growing interconnectedness of basically the whole world. There's a growing network of interrelations between and among cultures, between and among countries and different groups of people.
There are issues which arise out of this globalization. There are gains and there are losses. Okay, so one of the gain you can say is trade in goods and services, which is a good thing for any country or any people, but also movement of capital and funds. So funds move from one place to another. And another thing is movement of skill and the brain. it goes from one place to another. So if you can consider that as a gain. But there are losses which are almost fears, you can say, which will be the unequal distribution of income among countries and within the countries. So you get to see some unequal distribution of income, and loss of national sovereignty can be another fear of globalization. So a good example of it is the EU, for example, European Union, and the Britain pulling out of European Union was mainly because of losing their national sovereignty. So probably globalization has its own fears and losses, but also its own gain.
Own ups and downs. There's good points as well for globalization, and there's negative points as well, I think. Well, to be honest, at the moment I can think about negative points more. Like the one I can tell is employment. So if like one country, say they go to another country, if they like good in something, like say they good in making clothes. So if they're gonna go to another country and set up a plant down there, so they're gonna employ more people from their country, like the one they have built a new plant. So obviously, if it's company from my country and they go to a different country, they're gonna create more employment for their country. But for my country, there's gonna be lack of employment. So that's a negative point that I can think right now.
I think the problem with globalization is that there's a risk of losing our sense of uniqueness, identity that belongs to each individual country, and everything becomes the same, homogenous. So aspects of culture disappear, especially food, language changes, we don't have any individuality. That's the worst thing that can happen with globalisation. But in terms of currently the costs, living costs, especially around housing, is becoming very expensive in Auckland, and that's probably directly as a result of population growing faster than we can keep up with building accommodation to cope with it. So that's an issue that we need to deal with.
Concerned, globalization opens up more opportunities for growth, more opportunities for exchanges, more opportunities for a sharing of practices, but at the same time, globalization poses the same challenges to the hospitality industry. Challenges in the sense that you might have different ways of doing things, different practices. In one culture, a particular practice may be, or a particular form of service may be acceptable, but in another culture, a different form of service may not be acceptable. So the solution really is to provide education, an awareness and sensitivity to differences in culture, and again try to look for something in common, look for a common ground, so that there won't be any conflicts, or at least to minimize the conflicts.
The impact on hotel industry, it's made easier for corporate chains now to get into markets which were otherwise not possible to get into, and that's been a big bonus for them. And probably movement of skilled labor force from where there's a lack or a vacuum of labor force in one country, people have been able to move and help the economy of that particular country. So probably that's my viewpoint on globalization.
Impact on hospitality due to globalization, like we get a chance to taste new foods, taste new culture. It's a great impact. People just get a new chance to like taste a whole new culture, taste whole new food. I think it has a great impact on hospitality due to globalization. People can be, there's like more options for people. So if someone don't like their food, so they can go for another one. If someone don't like fast food, they can go for different things.
Globalization.
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 I do believe like globalization is good.